There's something we should all be tuning into that will make all the difference to your mindset and the energy behind how you sell your offers, and that is how to connect with the real transformation of your offer. Welcome to the Soulful Sales Show, where we talk about believing in the value of your offers, getting them in front of your right people, and selling more of what you do in your unique way. Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of the Soulful Sales podcast with me, Ruth Poundwhite. So today I'm going to talk about connecting with the transformation of your offer. Now, in episode 2 of the Soulful Sales podcast, I talked about why selling is neutral and how our own ideas about needing to persuade people or thinking that selling has to involve certain hard things are a big part of what can make it hard. But selling in itself is actually neutral. Now, another reason that selling can feel hard is the self-doubt it brings up when we are selling and launching. Is my offer good enough? Is anybody going to buy it? Is my marketing good enough? Am I good enough? Right? That stuff is hard. It is really normal for self-doubt to be triggered in this way, as hard as it is, because we are putting our heart into something. We have created something from our ideas and our thoughts. Sometimes in the case of physical products, we've actually literally created it with our hands. And putting it out into the world means that that thing is suddenly open to judgment. Now, even if people aren't explicitly judging the thing that we are selling, we might interpret a lack of comments, a lack of engagement, a lack of email clicks, a lack of sales as judgments. And it's really normal, actually, that our brains will go into a protective mode and interpret things in that way. It's trying to look out for all of the reasons why it won't work, all of the reasons why it's not good enough, to try and help us to make it even better. Sometimes in a perfectionistic way, sometimes to stop us doing the thing in the first place, to avoid all of these risks, and sometimes just to plan for the things that can go wrong as a way to prevent us from ever feeling disappointed. But I mean, that's part of entrepreneurship and part of putting yourself out there in the name of having something in your life that it is that you want, right? Now, obviously, there's also a practical side to making selling easier and practical things we can do to help boost our confidence. I'm going to talk about all of those things in future episodes of the Soulful Sales podcast. But for now, I want to give you an exercise that will really help you to keep going, even when the self-doubt does inevitably show up. And this exercise will also give you the motivation you need to wholeheartedly show up for your offer, to do the things that you really want to do if the fear wasn't there, to then, as a result, sell more of your offer. So what I'm talking about today is connecting with the transformation of your offer. And really, connecting with the transformation of your offer is not specific to when you are selling and launching. You can connect with the transformation of your offer when you are creating your offers and services in the first place. You can connect with the transformation when you are pricing your offers, and it will actually really, hopefully, help you to trust in the value if you want to charge higher prices. You can connect with the transformation when you come up with content ideas. You can also connect with the transformation when you're actually creating your courses or products, because creating it from that place is going to change the actual result. The energy is different. And really, really importantly, you can connect with the transformation when you are showing up to sell your offer, before you write your sales emails, with the actions you are taking to actually sell your offer, and how you put it out there as a whole. So if you're wondering, how do I actually do this? Okay, I'm sold that I need to do it, but how do I actually do it? Don't worry, I have you covered with an exercise I'm going to share with you in a second. And the great thing about this exercise, about connecting with the transformation in general, is that it immediately takes the focus off of you as an individual, which is often where a lot of self-doubt can come from, about how much space you're taking up, how much you're talking about a thing, and it puts the focus onto the impact of your work. You and your work, as connected as they are not the same thing. So it instantly diminishes some of those risks involved with putting your work out there. And what I also need you to know before I give you this exercise is that connecting with the transformation of your offer, unfortunately, is not a one-time thing, because you are going to waver at some point when you are selling and launching. Maybe you will waver before the launch, wondering, does anyone even want this? Maybe you'll waver during the launch if it's not selling as much as you'd hoped. I mean, even if it is selling really well, that can bring up fears in itself. Maybe you'll be afraid that you won't be able to deliver what you've promised, or that people won't like what you've created. So let me be clear about this. In case I haven't made it clear already, wavering is very, very normal. Wavering doesn't mean anything about whether you were right to create this or not. The thoughts you have while you are wavering aren't necessarily true, okay? Wavering just means that your brain has gone into that protective mode, trying to keep you safe, like I said before, against any of the potential things that could go wrong. And this protective mode that our brain naturally goes into is helpful to an extent. Maybe there is something we can tweak and improve about the offer. Maybe we can tweak the promise of the offer to make sure that we are fully behind it. Or maybe there's something about what we're promising that is a bit too much. Maybe we would be overextending ourselves if we really offered all of that. So maybe we can implement some boundaries around it or cut something out to make things better for us. So we can learn from the thoughts that are coming up. And I always say that we should never be dismissing this protective voice and just telling it to go away or telling it it's not wanted. This is a fearful part of us. We get to listen to it, we get to reassure it, and sometimes we get to learn from it as well. But often, of course, these protective thoughts aren't helpful. Like, what if it doesn't sell? What if people unsubscribe when I talk about it? What if I'm disappointed because I've put in this time and energy and it doesn't pay off? These are all risks of entrepreneurship. It is our job to keep tuning back into the vision of it working and it going well. It is part of the life of an entrepreneur to see these risks of it potentially not selling and all of this stuff, and to do it anyway in the name of the bigger vision. So one of the best tools you can have in your back pocket to do this, and that you can come back to again and again, is to connect with the transformation. And you will need to connect with it again and again. So you can use it as a tool to get you out of a space of worrying about what people might think, to get you out of that space of overthinking. Should I send an extra email because I might annoy people? When you actually take the time to connect with the transformation of your offer, you then get to ask yourself the question, how do I show up in service of this transformation? And believe me, when you ask yourself that question, having tuned into the transformation, the actions that you should take or how you want to actually show up and sell this thing will often immediately become clear. Like that massive overthinking you're doing about whether you should send that extra email or not, you ask yourself this question and suddenly it's all clear and you know exactly what to do. The fears are there to keep us safe, but they are often surface level stuff. The transformation is the deeper truth of what you do, of what you offer. It is the heart of your offer. It might be part of your purpose. It might be part of what fulfills you. So it's so, so important to connect with it again and again. So hopefully I've made that case clear. And now on to the actual exercise. How do you actually do it? Now, obviously, there are so many ways you could do this. You could do a meditation. You could do a visualization about working with your clients. You could tune into why you created this offer in the first place. But I'm going to give you a really specific exercise. It's a journaling exercise. If you don't do journaling, don't worry. It's a very specific prompt, so you'll know exactly what to do. You can use it as and when you need to. It is super useful, I would say, to do it at least one time for every single offer that you sell. And then when you're actually selling the offers, you'll probably want to come back and read over what you've written. If not, repeat the exercise again. It is really useful to repeat it again. And the good news is that although I'm going to speak it all out in this podcast episode, you also have a workbook version that you can refer back to or fill in my free Soulful Sales workbook, which you can find at ruthpoundwhite.com/free/selling. ruthpoundwhite.com/free/selling. And it will be in the show notes. So what I want you to do is get a blank sheet of paper or a page in your notebook. The title at the top of the page should be How This Offer Changes People's Lives. And it doesn't have to just be for digital stuff. You can do it for products as well. You want to divide the page into 3 columns. And in each of the 3 columns, they all have a different heading. So the first heading is how it's going to directly change people's lives. The second heading is how it will indirectly change people's lives. And the third heading is how all of those things will change the world. So column 1, direct, column 2, indirect, column 3, the world. And I need to give you a caveat before you go and fill this in. It's going to feel uncomfortable. For some of us, it'll feel more uncomfortable than others. It might feel audacious. It's probably going to feel stretchy. Because, when I ask a question like, how can your offer change the world? often what will come up is, who am I to say that my offer can change the world, right? But hopefully this will give you the evidence you need to feel more confident saying that. So let me give you an example. So I'm going to use my journaling course as an example. Directly, my journaling course can change people's lives by giving them a practice to help them coach themselves when they're having tricky feelings and thoughts about their business. Indirectly, this will help them to better show up to support their clients because they will be clearing their own mindset stuff and supporting their own clients from a more grounded, clear, and empowered place. How all of this can change the world is that when people are clearer, more grounded, when they clear out these tricky thoughts and actually work through them, that makes the world a better place. When people can be with their feelings, the world is a better place. I genuinely believe that. When people can be served by coaches or business owners who have cleared out the messy stuff and can be there in presence for them, the world is a better place. There's also a ripple effect on relationships and personal stuff as well that I haven't listed. So you see how we're really getting bigger and bigger with the things that we're listing down. It's okay if it's a stretch, all right? It is okay. And let's think about it in terms of how this might work for maybe a physical product. So if you sell like beautifully designed mugs, how are they going to change people's lives? So directly, people are going to be seeing that mug every time they open their cupboard to make a cup of tea in the morning, a cup of coffee in the morning. They are going to look at it. It's beautiful. It makes them happy. Indirectly, they might feel better with the way that their home looks. They're surrounded, even when they're not consciously focused on it, they're surrounded by beauty and things that make them feel happy in their home. They might be more grounded and present with their family as a result. And how can that change the world? Okay, we're going big here, all right? This is going to make the world a better place because more people need to be happier and more present with their families and feel happier in their surroundings to give them the capacity and the feelings needed to do whatever they want to do good in the world. Okay, I'm getting a bit vague and silly with this, but ultimately it is true. Your mugs can change the world. They can make the world a better place. I'm not saying that they'll necessarily do it alone. I'm not saying that my journaling course is the only thing that's going to make a difference in the world. Obviously not. But to go through this exercise and to see it really clearly is so, so helpful for me to connect with the transformation of my offer. And yeah, just know that it's totally okay to be audacious with this. And then obviously I already said, once you have done this, you need to ask yourself the question, how will I show up in service of the transformation? So if you know it's going to make the world a better place, who are you not to send that extra email? Who are you not to share that extra post on social media? Who are you not to launch this, right? Really connect with the people who need what it is that you have to offer and realize that you would be doing a disservice if you didn't show up to sell this, if you didn't take up space to talk about this offer. And the good news is all of this is in the free workbook, and there's even a visualization to help you really tune into the feeling that people need what it is that you have to sell. And that is at ruthpoundwhite.com/free/selling. So I hope that this has inspired you to write that stuff down in your journal, connect with the transformation of your offer, and then you will see on paper why the world needs you to show up and sell what it is that you do. So go and do that with love. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Soulful Sales. If you have a moment to rate and review, know that it really does make a difference. And if you'd like to carry on the conversation, then you can connect with me on Instagram at Ruth Poundwhite, sign up to my newsletter at ruthpoundwhite.com/newsletter, or my personal favorite, join me inside the low ticket membership at ruthpoundwhite.com/membership. And keep doing what you're doing because your work really does matter.